Hi, this is Pastor Ryan Chan. Today, my talk sermon will be on gay people. You know, men that like men, women that like women. Um, how does the church feel about this? How do I personally feel about this? How do I think God feels about this? The gay agenda being promoted in movies, music, books. As a society, how should we all view this? These are the things I'll be discussing in this talk slash sermon. Now, it's a very kind of complex subject. So for that reason, this video would potentially be around like 30 minutes long. Now, most of these sermons will be about 15 minutes long. But yeah, this one is very complex, which I'm happy to discuss though. So let's get into it. We'll be discussing gay people. And again, my name is Pastor Ryan Chan. And our philosophy at New Beginnings Worship House is to love everyone always, of course, including gay people. So a few prerequisites before I get to the meat of the video. The first one is for the gay people who may be watching this, right? Whether you're young, old, and you know it, and you identify as a homosexual. Well, as a pastor, as a human, as a man, just know that I love you and I support you as an individual that's growing in society, that is doing the best that you could be doing with all the information that you have. All right? So that's it. I love you. I know you're doing your best that you could be doing, just like how everybody else is doing the best that they could be doing with the information that they have. So that's that. Let me go to the next prerequisite. Yeah, so the second prerequisite, right? I just want to discuss attraction and sex a little bit objectively, right? So, Warren Buffett, this investor in America, he has this quote that says, the chains of habits are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken, right? So just think with me for a second. Like imagine meeting someone for the first time. Let's say the person is beautiful, and then the next day you're at work or you're at school and the person sends you a gift. Person buys you lunch, your favorite restaurant, and they say, it was nice meeting you and looking forward to meeting you again, right? And then let's say they message you the next day and they say, hey, let's go on a date or something, just to hang out. So these are all positive interaction that's building upon this individual, right? So with the quote, the chains of habits are too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken. That's just how attraction is for our brains, right? Inversely, like you could think of someone that you may have a strong dislike towards, and you would find that anytime you think of that person, you think of like bad things, right? So it's the same inversely. There's just the science of objective attraction, right? And the same with sex, because the attraction would lead to sex. So just objectively looking at it, right? Yeah, so thirdly, the third prerequisite before we get to the meat of the video, right? I want to discuss why would the Bible and God be against homosexuality? And why would Satan be for homosexuality, right? Now, I want to be very objective, as much as I can to really discuss certain things. Because the main message in anything that I do would always be surrounding like the truth will set you free, right? So many times with Satan, with this demonic world, this invisible world with God, because I'm experienced and trained in this, right? Many things surrounding Satan is surrounding him having you in ignorance or lacking knowledge in certain things. So for example, like metaphorically, let's say you want to learn how to bake a pie. You would learn how to get the ingredients, which would Satan would kind of like allow, but then you wouldn't learn like the right temperature to bake it at or something to make you not get the full product. So Satan loves that. Like, he loves, showing you a little bit of the information, but not the whole thing, right? And God loves showing you the whole thing and reinforcing you, excuse me, and empowering you to make those decisions on your own, right? Like, because you have free will, right? But many times you don't have all the information, and you make decisions with not having all the information. So let's go with God first, right? Why would God be against homosexuality, right? Now, a man and a woman, male, female, penis, vagina, right? Now, objectively, you can see the obvious structure behind reproducing, keeping the lineage going, right? Just like objective fundamentals, you see it naturally. A woman and a woman, a man and a man. Obviously, that's not natural, right? But taking it a layer deep as to why God created the union of a woman, of a marriage, and how the marriage falls into the bigger picture of a community, and then a country and a world. It all ultimately comes back to the family being strong to reinforce the power in all these things, or even giving God the opportunity to allow the blessings of stability, peace to come through him, to the marriage, to the community, to your friends and family, to the country, and even to the world, right? So God just loves heterosexual relationships for these benefits. Now, of course, these things can be done from homosexual relationships if they adopt in these different things, but we're gonna get to that, right? In a sense, we're gonna. But let me speak now about Satan. Like, why would Satan be for it, right? My older brother is in the Navy, and he was telling us one time how he got a promotion. He was applying for a job at the Navy, and when he saw the person who was going to interview him, the person just saw his shoes, and his shoes were like spotless, was polished, spotless. The person just saw his shoes, and the person gave my brother the job, right? Just off of the shoes, right? And the reason is they have the saying in the Navy, how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? And unfortunately, I'm so sorry that it's so deep with regards to how Satan sees us and how they kind of run our minds, right? But many times, sometimes if we're willing to accept bullshit in one area, we're willing to accept bullshit in many other areas, or we're less likely to question it, right? So now that's one reason why Satan would potentially be for homosexual relationships, right? Because obviously you can't reproduce, like, no matter how you twist it or turn it, right? And all the other benefits that comes with God in terms of blessing a whole country, the whole world, coming from a relationship, a union between a man and a woman. Satan knows that all of those things are hindered just from the jump. Now, if you feel anyway, I'm going to explain more in this video because there's a lot for me to say, and I know it's a complicated and sensitive subject. So just bear with me, and if you have any questions that I didn't address, by all means, please message or contact me anyhow, DM, whatever the case might be. Okay, now we're into the main meat of the message surrounding gay people, right? So point number one that I want to speak, we spoke about the prerequisites just now, right? So now we're going to get to the main meat. Point number one is that relationships and people are overrated, right? And bear with me here, right? So I, Ryan Chan, I'm not homosexual, but in a sense, I am also not heterosexual, right? Meaning, of course, heterosexual is the man who's attracted to the woman, or the woman who's attracted to the man. A homosexual is, attracted to the same thing. But I'm not those things because, right, just like there's just an obvious, well, as far as I remember, there was an obvious attraction from me towards women and appreciation, beauty that stemmed from a spoken bond between you and someone, or me and someone, and then positive interactions that would lead further into a relationship happening, right? But when you look at the entire picture behind the reasons and the benefits that God has intended for the family, for the union, for the world, all coming from you and your relationship, right? Like two things, for example. One is self-love, and the second one is semen retention, right? When you look at the objective reasons as to that balances everything out, right? Number one, self-love, meaning certain things about yourself. You can kind of create your own happiness that is independent of who you choose to spend the rest of your life with, whether that be a man or a woman. And those things are amazing, right? And I remember when I was meditating on it and, it fully registered with me. It's like I can enjoy friendships on a deeper level because I know I didn't need sex to be a part of it, right? And it's just like a beautiful thing because you can have an infinite amount of friends based on how societal norms are today. And so that's the self-love aspect. The second one with semen retention, right? When you kind of get to the science of semen retention, the benefits of retaining your semen, you realize on the inverse of that, right? That society as it is very a promiscuous society in the sense of like a lot of things are sexually driven, from marketing to movies, a lot of things. Reason being, of course, sex is like one of the most powerful desires that we have, right? The desire to procreate, get someone pregnant, whatever the case might be. But you see it in the movies, the music, you see it all the time, right? And but semen retention challenges all of that, right? And it takes you a step away from seeing the misalignment surrounding relationships and happiness, right? And then you kind of like, you're able to look at it for what it is. So for these reasons, right, relationships, super overrated, right? And when I was discussing the attraction in sex, meaning it could have been that when you were more vulnerable and younger with your mind, anything below 26 years old definitely is vulnerable. I'm 30 years old, but still, because our mind aren't fully, brains aren't fully developed. Our cerebral cortex gets fully developed till around like 24, 25, 26. So my point that I'm saying is that for those reasons, relationships are overrated, right? So if you really think that these relationships and who you choose to spend your life with matter so much, that's when you find, like, if someone you would read in the newspaper or in the news that when someone leaves someone that they gotta kill themselves or kill the person, and these crazy dramatic things, oh my goodness, I can't believe you would leave me, or gay people or homosexuals, right? Because now you're thinking, oh my goodness, I know that I'm attracted to the person of the same sex, and I know that I need this particular person for all these things to happen, right? But I am of the belief, seeing the entire thing objectively, that it's a misbelief in the sense of like, it's really not that important for the reasons that you might think, right? Now, it's just based off of your experiences, right? But of course, your experiences doesn't change the facts of the situation, stemming from procreation, and then also like how our brains are wired, the female energy, the male energy, how God made us to be. And let me continue. This one was a little long for the first one. I'm gonna go to point number 2. Yeah, so point number 2, I want to discuss, the gay agenda that's being promoted, right? From the books to the schools, the pronouns, the colleges, music, even celebrities now with social media. I saw Madonna recently came out as being gay, right? I love Madonna. But yeah, speaking about that, right? So we must, as a society, understand that it's a sensitive issue, right? Surrounding homosexuality, meaning as we choose now to go forward with it, like in the past, maybe 20, 30, 40 years ago, or before, you would have a lot of closet homosexuals, right? But now a lot of things are more coming to the front, really to the front, right? And me as a pastor, right, representing the church, my relationship with God. Now, of course, we believe in loving everyone always, right? And we also, or I believe also, that is a demonic force attached to it to hinder the entire world as it comes back to the from the world to the country to the community to the tongue to the family, right? From just this one aspect of being homosexual, right? So in terms of pronouns, right? If you're a child or young adult, kid, or whoever wants to identify as a different pronoun, later than he wants to be called she, so be it, right? This is just my perspective. So be it, because the truth, being the truth shall set you free, right? It's not necessarily anything that we should be hiding or be coming from in a lack of a lack of anything, right? So there's an abundance of good things. With the abundance of the truth, you can be empowered to make decisions that is in your best interest, right? Meaning, if you are going to go the extra mile to want to reclassify yourself or your sex as rather than he to be called she, then go the extra mile too to kind of understand more about sex, right? More about why this might be the case, especially watching this video, right? This video, I think it perfectly, some of the things that I mentioned with regards to sex and the change of habits being too weak to be felt until they're too strong to be broken, meaning positive interaction with, while you might be a man, many other men, right? Now, they can mess with you to say and identify and label yourself as gay or liking men, right? But it doesn't change the truth that no matter what you do with another man, you can't have a child, right? And as I discussed earlier, relationships are overrated, especially when you consider self-love and semen retention, right? So as whoever, and it could be anyone, right, pushing the gay agenda in schools and movies, right? If it was up to me, I would just push it with a caveat saying to, like, on both sides. Of course, I would allow you and whoever to speak your truth as to why you want to label things. To put like the character Dreamy in the movie with a boyfriend or whatever the case might be. But just do it on both sides, right? Like, don't hinder it where the heterosexual couples also can't have similar storylines or similar emotional plots with them as well, you know? So just don't do it one-sided, and even attach like training information, I would say, because I and many others like myself really do believe that there's a demonic influence using homosexuality to hinder the entire nation from hindering your ability to choose your partner. I'm going to continue now. Okay, the main point number 3. Now, this is, of course, this entire thing has been sensitive, but it's about to get even more sensitive and technical now, right? So main point number 3, I want to discuss men or boys who were like sexually molested like when they were younger, right? Like, I had a best friend in high school who told me he went to a doctor, and the doctor stick his finger up the my friend's butt, and he orgasmed, and it was like a thing, you know, and he was surprised. But I guess this is a thing. Thankfully, no one has ever done that to me. But even I don't know. Who knows how my life is gonna go? But that hasn't happened to me as yet. But I have heard from others and did some research to suggest that some young men who are sexually molested, when they get older, to get the same sensation, they would identify as a homosexual, then seek these homosexual relationships, right? And similarly, on the flip side, some women who are like sexually assaulted by men would choose to label all men as bad men and just decide to like keep these lesbian relationships, right? And allow themselves to be pleasured and give pleasure to these lesbian relationships, right? Now, what I want to say to those people, right? And if you fall into these boxes, right? I know it's hard, but like, you're really fighting for your own life. You being like the CEO of your own life. You being the sum of all the choices you would have made to get to the point that you currently are, right? Now, getting therapy, super important to break down what would have happened to you and how do you look at it for what it is, and then how do you move forward without it controlling you, right, for the rest of your life, right? And one of the most powerful things you want to avoid in this situation is the strong labels, right? So let's say hypothetically the young boy who was assaulted by his uncle, He remembers that experience. He grows a little bit older. He likes, and his brain registers that experience. I remember when someone touched his butt, he felt a certain way. Now the gay agenda is being pushed, and it's easy to just go on a date app and date other men. Now he just does it, and now he's labeling himself he's gay, and he loves it, and he reinforces it. Or the young girl, same thing. Maybe she's assaulted by a man or a boy, and she labels all men are bad, and she grows and she just falls into these lesbian relationships, and then it just reinforces it because the chains of habits are too big to be felt until they're too strong to be broken, right? Because they will be reinforced multiple times depending on your environment. But none of these things changes the facts that a man and a woman cannot make a child. And also the energy in terms of the female energy, the male energy, and how we were designed by God, right? So that is that. Yeah, before I conclude this video, in my previous point, the main point number 3, right? But you being the CEO of your own life, despite whatever you would have gone through, right? And you like your life, if you look around you as you're watching this video, your life, no matter where you are, whether you're on a plane, you're in jail, you're in your apartment, you're at work, your life is the sum, your life right now is the sum total of all the choices you made up to this point, right? Your life right now is the sum total of all the choices that you made up to this point, right? And now trauma is something that is serious because many of us don't really know how to deal with it, or we're not comfortable enough, to look at it for what it is. I was going to brag. That's one of the things I think that I'm good at. And I think that's one of the things that God loves about me, right? The ability to just look at things that happen, to kind of like see cause and effect, objectively look at it, and then like see what you can learn from it, or how does it control you, to try to give it less control as possible, right? Or some of these things you may not be able to solve on your own, which is fine, right? That's why meditation is important, to give your brain silence in terms of always being stimulated, so that your thoughts could just kind of like move around in your background. And even better yet, getting therapy, getting help. We're allowing like a trained person to kind of just discuss these things with you, so that it could not control you as much as possible, right? And with that being said, before I conclude the video, if at the end of all this evaluation, based on whatever reason you may have for being a homosexual, you still want to be a homosexual, then by all means, you go right ahead. Because me and everyone else that we know, right, we believe and trust in God with faith, right? Meaning we have never actually seen God. Like God never really come to us face to face and spoke, but we believe in God through faith. And that faith, however, is reinforced daily from how we trust in God. We're given instructions, and then we get the benefits or consequences when we do things or when we don't do things, right? So that's like a continuous pattern that builds over time. So that is what we believe, right? But the main thing I'm saying, right, just don't hinder it. If you are homosexual, then seek the truth, right? Seek the truth. Like, why did you choose that? Why does some people think that is a demonic influence, right? And just keep, like, is it like from a fear base? Is it from a scarcity base that you make that decision to do this thing? And just seek the truth, right? Because it really is like, I've never been a homosexual to know like how much it would affect me, but I do know that a man and a woman can't have a child. And also the female male energy dynamic is one of the most beautiful things once both parties understand their role in a spiritual union, to kind of reinforce it. Of course, the devil is kind of strong in the world with culture, and so he does many things to emasculate men for themselves and for society to see how men are emasculated. Many things to make women more masculine. So I saw on Netflix recently, for example, they got the Woman King. That's the #1 movie, I think, or something right now. It just recently came out. And I know I saw recently posted at, I think it was the All-Star game or a Lakers game, a basketball game. I think like 5 of the male celebrities had purses, right? No, I don't know if this is all intentional or whatever, but I do know pop culture, they do things to kind of diminish this authority, to kind of like blur the lines, right? But yeah, once I think it's practiced the way God intended it to be practiced, the energy, the male, the female, the most beautiful thing. Everyone benefits. The children benefit. The community benefits. Friends and family benefit. The country benefits. The world benefits. Right. So it's like a all coming from the family and the choices that we make as individuals. Okay. So in conclusion, right. I really do love everyone always, and I saying I learned it from a book by a pastor. I can't remember the name of the pastor. I'm gonna put the book though in the caption of this video. It was a really, really good book, and it just reinforced at the end of it. It was a powerful story, that reinforced that the instructions that Jesus left for us is to really try as much as we can to love everyone always, and treat other people like how we would treat Him. All right. So whether you're gay, if you are gay, I still love you. Right, despite these things that I believe, right? And I just encourage you to seek the truth about why you make these decisions, how the decision is reinforced consistently and constantly, and what you may be missing as a result of it. All right. And I'm here for counseling or whatever you may need. Like, I'm very radical. I know many other pastors, I think they're very radical too, with regards to like giving you the help that you may need to go forward, or even having conversations around the possibility of whether you may need help or not, right? Because if at the end of the journey you starting out as you're watching this video, you're a gay person, and then at the end you're still a gay person and you want to be gay and you love being gay, then that is fine. I'll still love you, because God in his wisdom chooses to judge us, all of us, at the end of our days. So who am I to judge you while your story is still being told, right? There's so many examples in the Bible of people turning their lives around. So not to necessarily further diminish being gay, right? And the connotations that surround it, but for those 2 reasons, that is why, or those 3 reasons rather, I would believe that Satan loves gay people. The 3 reasons being, you'll never be able to have a child with another gay person. So right off the bat, it's unnatural. Secondly, the male-female energy, that is a beautiful when both parties know what is expected of them and they understand the social psychology of society to kind of fight against it. And just be in the role of dominance, so to like promote the marriage, the children, the friends and family of that one family, the community, the country, the world, right? And it wouldn't be as amazing as I'm saying if more people were doing it, but almost nobody is doing it. Almost everybody is lost, right? And even the people who know the information, they're being severely challenged by strong demonic attacks and forces for obvious reasons, right? And then the third reason is, so the first one is unnatural, can't reproduce. Second one is the male female energy, and the third reason is what was the third reason? I just had it. Can't remember the third reason. But loving everyone always, that's what New Beginners Worship House and Ryan Chan and God is all about. We love you. God would not judge you until the end of your days, and so neither will I. But though, seek the truth in all things that you do, in every aspect of your life, right? Seek the truth. Don't hold back. Be empowered. Keep pushing. Your life right now is the sum total of all the choices you made to get to the point where you are. So that is it. Loving everyone always, and message me or comment if any of the things you got any questions or comments or anything.